This video will be an in-depth look into the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition background influence. Influence. You have pull in the mortal community, whether through wealth, prestige, political office, blackmail, or supernatural manipulation. Kindred with high influence can sway and in rare cases even control the politics and society of their city, especially the police and city bureaucracy. By default, influence applies mostly within one group or region of your city. Groups can be large, even diffuse. Organized crime, media, religion, the police, city government, etc. Regions should be larger than neighborhoods, or all but the largest individual domains. Brooklyn, the Rive Gauche, the South Side, the Ginza, etc. Your influence applies to the city as a whole, at one dot less than it does within your group or region. Using local influence in another city in the same area, state, or province might be possible at an additional 1 dot penalty, and so on. So a vampire might be powerful with 4 dots in Hollywood, entrenched 3 dots everywhere in Los Angeles, merely influential 2 dots in San Diego or San Francisco, and just well connected 1 dot in Chicago or New York. The storyteller may require you to use influence in place of a trait in some dice pools, particularly social tests attempting to sway minor bureaucrats or the equivalent in your group. This background helps you have an abandoned building demolished or preserved and not start global wars. If a storyteller wants you to run a game of global spanning masterminds, they may recalibrate influence to potentially apply nationally at 4 dots or even globally at 5 dots. Influence is another face value described background. With 1 dot, you're going to be heard within whatever circle that you chose for your character's influence. This doesn't guarantee anything other than you're going to be heard within your circle of influence. The 2nd dot will make people within your circle of influence want to do favors for you. This means that unless there is a conflict of interest, that it's in your circle of influence, people will be willing to do favors for you. At the 3rd dot, the heavy hitters will hesitate to oppose you. This does not mean everything will get done, but it's very likely it will as long as what your character is asking for isn't a conflict of interest or a problem for the circle of influence. The 4th dot gives the character enough influence that lower end people within the circle of influence will obey the character as if they were given an order from one of their leaders. At the 5th level, lower people within your circle of influence try to figure out what you want and do it before being asked. How I use influence. Influence is kind of tricky, as there's not one person that this falls to. It affects many different people in whatever circle of influence that your character has it in. If your character is influential, 2 dots, in the city's police, the character could go up to any police officer or detective or any other person in the police force and attempt to use their influence. As a storyteller, you can just go by the chart and decide how they react, or have players include their influence dots to their social dice pools when interacting with them. Yes, in my games, if the character is retired judge with Fame 1 police and Influence 3 police, I would allow them to add 4 dice to their dice pool on social rules with people of the police force. Now keep in mind that even with 5 dots in influence, this does not guarantee automatic successes. Being highly influential in a mob could make you a target if asked for things all the time, drawing attention to yourself. Having influence within the city's police doesn't guarantee that you'll get a cover-up if you're caught driving under the influence. Eventually, that one good cop is going to be the one pulling you over and willing to do his job upholding the law, even if it costs him his job. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you have learned something new, or at least something you're willing to try in your own games.